Episode 8. The Gathering Storm. America was feeling the tremors of change. The chaos that had gripped the nation in the aftermath of President-elect Pumpkin's victory hadn't gone unnoticed. The streets were alive with voices demanding answers, demanding justice. We the people were no longer just sitting at the table, they were flipping it over. The winds of revolution were in the air. But this wasn't a simple call to arms. This was a call to awareness, to action. People were waking up. From the coffee shops to the protest lines, they realized the system was rigged, and the only way forward was to break it. We the people weren't just protesting. They were organizing, building something bigger, something more lasting. Across cities, towns, and digital platforms, a movement was taking shape. People weren't going to stand by while the powers that be kept pulling the strings. The desire for change was infectious. While some might have seen this as just another round of unrest, the truth was, we the people were getting serious about reshaping the nation. Online, the scene was the same. Voices that had long been drowned out were now finding their megaphones. But the platforms weren't cooperating. Z had become more than just a place for casual scrolling. The algorithm, once a tool for connection, was now working to silence dissent. Posts were getting buried, accounts were getting suspended, and those in power seemed more determined than ever to quash the growing swell of resistance. But we the people were too loud to be silenced. They fought back with every post, every message, and every share. Then, out of the growing chaos, a new leader emerged. Her name, Alejandra Ortiz-Campos, known as Ahlee la Aly. A politician, a voice for the people, she wasn't afraid to call out the system that had failed so many. While we the people had always been the heart of the movement, Ahlee's rise signaled a new chapter in the fight for justice. Her fiery speeches and no-nonsense approach to politics gave hope to those who had been struggling to be heard. Her impact on the movement was undeniable. Ahlee's words began to reverberate through the streets, urging those who felt voiceless to rise up, to challenge the very systems that had kept them down. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear. Ahlee had become a powerful figure in this struggle for change. The battle wasn't just in the streets, it was online. The fight for the truth was happening in the very algorithms that controlled who saw what. It wasn't enough to simply post your thoughts. You had to fight to be seen. It was the perfect reflection of the real world. The people who had the most power in the system were the ones who could control the narrative. But the people weren't backing down. We, the people, were finding ways to spread their messages, even as the platforms fought to push them down. Every time they were silenced, another wave of support would rise up. And this time, the people weren't just reacting, they were organizing, taking the fight to the very systems that tried to silence them. As we the people organized, the powerful forces behind President-elect Pumpkin began to notice. Red Star, Tesla, and SpaceX had always been the corporate giants that helped maintain the status quo. But now, with the people starting to wake up and demand change, these entities were scrambling to protect their influence. The clock was ticking, and the people knew it. Behind closed doors, deals were being made. Lobbyists and corporate elites were working overtime to ensure that no real change would come. They were prepared to do whatever it took to preserve the old order. But we the people weren't going to back down. They'd seen too much, they'd suffered too long, and now they were ready to fight for what was right. Ahlee's voice, though just one of many in this fight, was loud and clear. We rise together, or we fall alone. The movement was growing, and we the people were rising. They had become more than just a reaction to injustice. They had become a force to be reckoned with. But the question remained, could they break through the systems of control that had held the nation in place for so long? Ahlee's rise symbolized the growing demand for change. But the true power was in the people. They had found their strength, not in a single leader, but in their collective will to stand up against the powers that sought to divide and suppress them. But even as the movement gained strength, the forces against them were working just as hard. The corporate machines, the media outlets, and power systems were all pulling strings behind the scenes. It wasn't just about organizing. It was about winning. The stakes were high. The battle was on, to be continued.